So I almost quit dancing at the age of 29. Here's what I changed so I can still get booked at 38. All right, if you don't know who I am, my name is Emeroy Bernardo. I've been dancing for over 25 years, teaching for over 15 years, and dancing professionally for over a decade. Man, what have I done? Okay, I've danced with international artists such as Janelyn Verrey, worked with artists such as Dalwin, Casey and the Sunshine Band, worked with organizations such as Universal Studios, Six Flags. I've directed competitive teams such as Family Business, worked with exhibition teams such as Culture Shock LA, and I currently direct a professional dance media entertainment company called Temper Tantrum. So make sure you guys check out their channel as well because they have a lot of dope content that they're sharing. I just turned 38, sharing with you guys lessons I've learned from over 2 decades worth of dancing. All right, so the first lesson I want to share with you guys is going pro. Do the work regardless of how you feel. Obviously, check in with yourself. You know, if you really need to take the break, take the break. But if you are really dedicated to doing the work and being the professional that you aspire to be, you do the work regardless of how you emotionally feel. But again, that's very nuanced. Sometimes you do need the break, and I'm making this little intro a little longer because things are nuanced. I don't know where you are in your point of life, and you don't know where mine is. Everyone's circumstances are different. So for me, going pro doesn't just mean going to classes to refine your skills, but it's also taking care of your body, doing some strength training, because there are movements that you do while you dance that you favor. Like for example, when I do some freezes, when I do breaking, I have a preference on freezing on the right, and it causes a muscular imbalance that could potentially lead to injuries. Or sometimes I twist harder on one way when I do some moves versus the other way, which has previously caused injuries. This sounds like super like the typical cliche advice, but this is the shit that I wish I took seriously as a 20-year-old dancer or someone coming straight out of high school, and then with doe eyes, assuming that I can take on the world with just hard work. But it's not just hard work. It's knowing how to put it together in the system and seeing how everything comes together. It's every aspect of your life to, in a sense, optimize it for the thing you want to get good at. And I know that can be difficult if you're a dancer that does weekend jobs performing, and then you also have the regular job, and then it's a little harder to try to balance that. An example of like this is when we were getting ready for a show earlier this year, I think during the spring. We had just learned the choreography. I like practicing the routines at my gym just to get the familiarity of the routine. There are a lot of moments where I go to the gym and I don't fucking want to do that. I don't want to dance, let alone even lift. If it's just a feeling, I fucking do the work because it's just a feeling. If I'm genuinely exhausted, like this weekend, I literally danced for a show all the way until 1 in the morning, and then rehearsal in the morning, and then the show again from evening till the morning. Following day, I'm gonna need recovery. So again, take into account your demands of life, but what this thing demands, and if this is really that much more important, you'll give way more time, because you only have 24 hours in the day. Expect that it's gonna suck, and there are gonna be days where you don't want to do it, but you do it anyways, and also define how that's gonna look for you, because if you're doing dance along with work, that schedule is gonna be way different from you, but you have to accept the fact that you'll probably be tired from work. And if dance is the thing that you want to do, you show up to class. If dance is the thing you want to do, you show up to that audition. You call that day off, even though you might lose the fucking job. That's just the uncertainty that exists with this. And if you value security more, there'll be plenty of auditions that exist, because I know a lot of people that skipped over big auditions because they wanted security from the paycheck versus the uncertainty at an audition. So the second lesson from my years of experience is that preparation kills the nerves. My first audition for an agency, I didn't take that much classes prior to that, and I learned the choreography. I thought I felt good about it. I did a couple mental tests of like, can I do it in my mind? And then when it came for me to do it, I fucking choked. Like, I blanked out. And then not only that, my whole group fucking blanked out. We looked at each other. It was fucking embarrassing. And I remember some of the people that were in there too, like a couple of my friends from the competitive community. There was one other dancer that I looked up to from another dance team, and I'm like, shit, I fucked up bad. So what I did to recover is I freestyled. I did breaking. I went to the judges table, demanded their attention. We're like, I think that's one of like my best recoveries. And then they told me to stay around the for the specialty auditions. And come the specialty auditions, I changed styles from what I showed them, and it was completely different. And I don't know why I decided to change freestyle styles at that moment, and I just did. One of the things to take away from that is I had not been taking class. So therefore my retention wasn't on point. The lines weren't on that point. Were on point, and I had not practiced the freestyles that I presented in the specialty in depth that I should have. If you come with it with the mindset of just going to class and you're just learning and for the fun of it, that kind of helps. If that's the kind of framework you want to approach things, because that's how I approach it. Like it's like you're going to class, you learn, and you do select groups. It just so happens to be an audition. You get the point here. It was a terrible audition, but it was a good lesson. But now the way I approach auditions, I got to make sure I get a decent amount of sleep. Excuse me, at least 6 hours, preferably 8. Most of the time I get 6 because I'm working. Depending on the time of the audition, sometimes they're at 9, sometimes they're at 4. Depending on the time of the audition, I like to get a morning lift in. For me personally, I get a nice connection with the body because there are moments in the audition, even though I'm not as nervous as I used to be, there is kind of like this lightness. I feel like I'm almost like I'm like floating, and I don't feel grounded, which is, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but that's what I experienced. And so what has helped me in feeling grounded and connected to my body is doing a light lift. So anything of 3 sets to 12 or 15, nothing too heavy, because if I don't want to be winded, I don't want to burn out my CNS or central nervous system. So I just want to get connected with my body and then get a decent meal in. I'd say 3 to 4 hours before the audition. Again, depending on when the audition is. If it's 9 a.m., I'm not going to get a morning lift in, but I'll probably at least have something with some carbohydrates in there. Maybe a banana, maybe some toast, something to give me some energy. At the audition, I like getting there early because 1, parking can suck. 2, it gets crowded, and I want to get familiar with the space, and so that way it's not like, oh, this is completely new. Like I like getting there early because I can get familiar with the space, potentially talk with the staff, get to know them a little bit more, and this is just like this is what works for me, and it might not work for you, but this is what helps me mentally prepare going to these auditions, and then because since I'm there early, I have a little bit more time to warm up. I have a little bit more time again for the nerves to settle, being in the space. And then once there's people that are there, they start trickling in. I can start making connections and friends and kind of get out of my head, because sitting there at the audition is a mental game. So it's very easy to get in your head, especially if you're just like, am I going to do good? I hope I don't mess up, yada, yada, yada. What are they going to think of me? Like talking to other people and even vocalizing, like saying, oh yeah, I'm nervous. Oh, where'd you come from? Like, oh, how are you feeling right now? Like being able to relate to other people is another way of helping with the nerves. At least that's what's helped for me. Now, during the learning process of the audition, you do the best you can to learn and pick up within the 10 minutes they give you to learn a 10 8 count combo. Things I like doing to help with retention is I look away, face different directions, away from the mirror, to the left and right of the mirror, eyes closed, whatever I can to mentally test myself, or even just stand and just do nothing, or just watch. These are several ways I like to mentally test how well I have the choreography, and to find out where the holes are so I can drill it a little bit more. Once it's your time to go up, have fun, enjoy. You did the best you can in terms of preparation, and then just enjoy the fact that you're there and that you're getting to do this thing called dance, and you can and for an opportunity in front of some casting directors for whatever opportunity it is. Yeah, I think that's like the most important thing. Even though like these are all like, I'd say, tactical things to help calm the nerves. Like the biggest framework shift for me was just to have fun, and that's hard, especially if you really, really want the job. And then the thing with that is now you're attaching the end result, which is something that you don't have control over, but you do have control over your effort. And if you're leaving the audition and you're thinking, what more could have I done? You probably didn't prepare enough, or you need more feedback. To add more to this, I know I've seen auditions where it really fucks with people, where I see some people crying after the audition where they didn't get the thing that they wanted, or they're crying before they even called up, or and then I can relate to that because some of the auditions I went to, I would spiral. I would think that I'm not enough. I would think like, am I even a good dancer? And it's a very slippery slope, and it can, I would almost say, derail someone's dance career because of lacking the mental tools to deal with a rejection like that. What's helped me is therapy and feedback. All right, so here's 4 things that I think that would probably help you in terms of dealing with rejection from an audition. Like, one is obviously, I want to share, if you're equating rejection to your self-worth, I definitely think that's a more of a something to unpack and something to talk about through therapy, because that's something that I used to go through. Like I said, I'd spiral after auditions, and I think I wasn't good enough, and it made me think a lot if I was a good dancer, which eventually led to me thinking, was I even a good person? So therapy has helped out a lot. If that's something that you're going through, like if you equate a rejection to your self-worth, more often than not in these auditions, there's a specific look, vibe, style that they're looking for that has zero anything to do with you as a person. If you do not have the look, if I go to an audition for Beyonce and they're looking for 5'9" dudes, I do not fit the look. If I go to an audition where they're looking for people who can do Vogue, I do not fit the style. If I get rejected from that, it's no big deal. I do not fit that. So at auditions, it's not a ding towards you, your character, your personality. They're just not buying what you're selling that day. You just keep going. You go to if they have an audition next year, go to that. If there's another audition, you go to that. You keep putting in your reps. You keep showing up to the rooms. You keep working on your craft. You'll get the work eventually. The key thing is you can't lose if you don't stop. So, but again, if rejection is hard for you, that's definitely something to unpack. And the next thing is mentorship. You can go to mentorship programs that's offered hugely, at least here in LA. I'm not sure about every other places, but you can, if you go to a class of a specific choreographer, and you go to the weekly, go to them and ask for feedback. What can I work on? Because then they can give that feedback, then gives you direction. Ask for specifics. The next thing is having a community, I'd say almost a support group. That's why classes, making connections there are great, which is I also like I said earlier, I like going to auditions early so that way I can make connections there, and then I'm essentially in the trenches with these people. So after I do my audition, I can relax. I can talk about what's happening. Like, oh, I don't think I did that well. Like, oh, how'd you do? Cool. Like, yeah, you did your best. Like, having a support system for even a short stint like that, in my opinion, can help. Because now you have someone who can relate and empathize with what you're going through, because they're going through it too, and you can share those experiences. And I think that can potentially be the beginning of a new friendship. But either way, it's a good way of feeling supported and not feeling alone. And the last thing is a little bit more of a reflection thing. I think I do this more mentally now, is I take at least 1, 2, or 3 things of like, okay, I did this right, I did this right, I did this right. And like, oh, I know I didn't do that part. One of the auditions that I didn't get booked for a sports team, I knew I hit all my signatures for my freestyle right. I went like in my game plan, like, and when you're in the moment, it's hard. But like, I knew I got to do my travel to the front. I did one of my signatures for 2, 3 of my signatures for breaking. And I know I killed the choreography for the first round. The second round was a different style, and I knew it was gonna be challenging, but I fucking did my best at it. But even though I know like, oh, this is a style that I'm not familiar with, but I thought it'd be okay. So that was the kind of like the mental checklist after I went through that audition. Like, here's the wins, here's the thing that I knew I could have improved, or something. I'd say like the quote unquote weak point, for lack of a better saying. But what you don't want to do is focus on the thing you only fucked up on. My previous example of the blanking out at an agency audition, like, woo, there's a whole bunch of fuck ups there. But the key thing that I remember is like, I fucking saved the audition. I got a second chance because I freestyled instead. So like that's like my golden nugget of from a huge list of mess ups that day. So that, and then eventually you'll have more golden nuggets over, you know, one piece of coal. I don't know if that, I have zero idea if that metaphor worked, but yeah. So next lesson is manage your energy. This is specifically during the audition process. You don't go full out on every run. So at this particular audition for a sports team, there were some dancers. After we learned the choreography, they were doing they were doing practice runs full out every single time, and that that sounds like a good idea because it does help solidify the choreography in your body. But energy wise, by the time you reach the panel, you're going to be done. And the thing with this audition was that there were 2 rounds that day, and they were going full out on the first one. And from what I heard, from the second round, one of the girls actually vomited after, so she had pushed herself way too hard. So the main lesson from that is pace yourself at the auditions, because this audition went from like 9 to 4. This was like 2-3 rounds, and then there's another following round the following day. Some auditions are just 1 or 2 rounds. Some auditions are just 1, and you're one and done. But you got to pace yourself. Like, you don't have to go 100% the whole time. In the audition process, in how I pace myself, is in the learning process. If I'm uncertain of something, I stop fucking dancing and I just watch the choreographer. And in other aspects, when sometimes they do it a couple times, just a nice mark to understand timing. Really listen, and then if they have a couple more rounds, start pushing it. And then if you have practice time, whether you're in the same room or they put you guys in a different room, change directions, move to different parts of the room, because sometimes in these auditions they don't shift the lines around for everyone to learn. Take your time. You can mark it, do it in your mind. It's about like seeing where you're at, knowing that if you do too much now, you're not going to have enough gas in the tank when it comes for you to audition. So the next thing is recovery is a part of the training. So at the age of 29, I remember going to a handful of rehearsals where I had a back brace, 2 knee braces, and a shoulder brace. And one of the dancers there was like, "You all right, old man?" And I was only 29. 29 seems ancient to a lot of dancers. 30 seems ancient to a lot of 20-year-olds. But in reality, it isn't. What was starting to become more apparent to me was injuries were taking longer to recover. There was a point at that where I was questioning, do I keep dancing? And if I want to keep dancing, I got to do things differently, and I can't be reckless. It goes back to, if you're trying to do this for long term, you got to treat your body. You got to treat your body well. If you take care of your body will take care of you. Back then, I would rehearse, take class, and session without any recovery. Now, through rehearsals, I think I'm dancing way more, rehearsing way more, dancing more intensely. Now, but now I'm also recovering and warming up more intensely. Like, I hated fucking warming up. I still really think warming up I'm very impatient at the warm-up process, even though I gave myself a much longer warm-up process. I warm up for like 15 to 20 minutes. It's long. I get a little impatient sometimes in it, but it's part of the process. The main thing is I'm getting my heart rate up. I'm getting rid of any adhesions or knots. That helps me, and this essentially helps me get connected to the body. I do have a recovery protocol where I do 10 to 15 minutes in the sauna, 5 minutes in the pool because my gym doesn't have an ice bath and I don't want to set that up. Then 15 minutes in the hot tub, 5 minutes in the pool, and then wash off and go. And that's helped because the amount of performing in rehearsals I have within Friday to Sunday are intense. And as much as I want to lift the following day, I'd much rather make sure that the body's okay to do what it needs to do for the upcoming weekend. Next lesson is consistency beats talent. There's the whole saying of hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And there was a dancer in high school that I believe was a year or 2 younger than me that got their first agency. And me being a senior, I was jealous. I was like, am I not good enough? And then when people saw this dancer, they were amazed at how good he was. But for me, the shift in that was the thing that he was naturally good at, which with a fantastic baseline. He was also skilled at it, and with that, being skilled means you can also get good at it. It's just how much time and patience and dedication you're willing to put into it. Because someone who's at that level, or someone who's at a much higher level than you, me looking at that, just assessing it, I'd have to work 6 times harder to reach their level of technique, because they were just fantastic hip hop dancers, commercial dancers. They also had jazz technique, and I was like, I never done that. So for me to do that, I would have to, now talking about it out loud, I'd have to work 12 times that hard to get the good jazz technique, to refine my hip hop and commercial choreography foundations even more. If you're trying to match someone that you look up to in terms of their skill, acknowledge that it's not just going to take the same amount of work that they do, it's going to take more. So the main thing to take away from this is that talent may be the baseline, but focused consistency with direction compounds and raises it. The next lesson is age is not the blocker of success. Mediocrity is. Age really isn't anything but a number. At the age of 38, I'm fucking ancient as fuck to a lot of dancers. But I was able to book Universal Studios Nintendo Land, the opening, amongst other dancers half my age, Six Flags Fright Fest, amongst other dancers half my age, a handful of gigs that booked me because of the skill and the value I brought as a dancer over other people that were half my age. Honestly, I think it goes back to the experience and the skill, and honestly what the casting directors are looking for at that moment, because typecasting is a real thing. If again, going back to the example, if I go to an audition and they're looking for 5'9" dudes that are super muscular, I do not fit the bill. If they're looking for someone who can do punking or voguing for a specific EDM artist, I'll try, but I probably don't fit that bill. Yeah, here's an audition I did recently was for a drag queen, and one part of the audition was how well can we dance and move with the drag queen, and like in terms of complementary, like can we move and like obviously appropriately touch them to make it look like we're one unit. I don't think I did well at that because I fucking did breaking instead, and I was like, yeah, hip hop, breaking. And while the drag queen was just like all doing all this sensual, like more femme type movements, I didn't bring into mind of what was needed at the moment. I just threw down like, here's what I can do. I think as long as you are continuing to work on your craft, you continue to sharpen your skills, put yourself out there. You know, go on even if you have an agent or if you're going on any of these booking websites, like just keep putting yourself out there. You're not old, you're not ancient, like especially if you're continuing to work on your skills. All right, so the next lesson that I want to share is know your worth. I'd say build it, then protect it. I'm gonna say this: if you have zero body of professional work, you might not be worth much yet. I mean, because skills, in my head, in my beliefs, pay the bills. But if you don't have a demo reel, if you don't have a body of work, that includes even like your college shit, or like your whatever you put on stage for college and your showcases, whatever opportunities you perform. That's still your body of work. You can probably still get paid. But if you have absolutely zero demo reel, zero video, zero anything, then I would say you should work for free and get some experience. If you have zero experience being on set, try to get on set for free. Be a background talent, get the experience of what it's like to be on set, learn the etiquette. I have zero problem with getting paid little to nothing. If I'm new to the industry, I have zero experience, zero body of work. Okay. In 2006, I was a background actor / dancer for independent film. I was at several locations. I got to connect with some of the local b-boys and b-girls there, or breakers there. It was fucking awesome. That's where I got to learn professionalism and how directors treat their people, how the actors treat their people, and I got my early glimpses of what it was like to be on set as a dancer. It was free. I was just an extra, but but through that I got to make a lot of connections and the experience that I wanted. But later on, as you get more work, you start charging. What that rate is depends on the scope. If you're first starting off, the number that scares you, start off with that. And if they say yes immediately, you're probably charging too low. And then go higher. Another way you can go about it is like ask other teachers what they're charging, and or even Google it, and or shit, even use AI to have a conversation to try to figure it out, because they can search the web for you. I did that with one of my dancers. They're doing their first choreography gig for an artist that I also got to be a part of. I'm not sure what I told them. I think I said like, okay, this is your first thing. Uh, just say 300 and see if they say yes or no. And the lowest you'll go is 150. Don't tell that, but I told them 300 right off the bat, and then they said yes. That's what they got for their first gig. Then I told them like, okay, they said yes that fast. You probably should have charged more. Just to add nuance to this, every production is different. Not everyone has Universal Studios budget. Some people just have indie film budget, or just it's coming out of their own pocket. Once you start building that body of work, protect it, because now you have feedback of what you're worth through your experiences. An example of this is Temper Tantrum as a dance company. We auditioned for something earlier this year, and we were expecting to get one of the main slots for this event, and I believe we were supposed to get paid for that. We did not get that. It was kind of a bait and switch. I don't think it was intentional. I could be playing it down, but instead what they offered was something far different from what we initially auditioned for, which was instead of us getting an entire slot, the entire company would just get like a minute, and then two of the other dancers would just essentially be background dancing, and then that's it. And those two would get paid. Everyone else would probably just get a quick feature, which is not what we auditioned for. And as much as we wanted to be on that specific event, we said no, because we knew what we auditioned for, we knew what we were worth, and we were okay with walking away because we knew there's going to be plenty of opportunities like this along the way. All right, so the next lesson is build your network. I know the reason I'm still dancing is because friends kept booking me for things. 2013, one of my roughest years, I was booked to do the Rose Parade, and that got me out of my funk. 2015, I was getting ready to leave dance, and I auditioned for this theater company. 2018, 19, I was trying to focus more on my social media company, but I had friends that kept booking me for music videos, for industry events, and I can't thank them enough for those opportunities. Even though I still do auditions, a lot of my other work also comes from friends and through the grapevine of who they know, and then they reach out to me or the other people. So it goes to the whole saying of like, your net worth is your network. The people that you're in the trenches with might be the people that book you. So that means the people you're in the classes with, you can potentially make friends with them, connect with them, build genuine relationships, and they might book you. The people same thing with the mentorship program, same thing with the rehearsals or the dance company. The hugest upside of friends booking you or other people booking you because you were recommended from a friend is because they're already vouching for you. That means they're putting their name on the line because they believe in the work that you do, which saves you a lot of the hard work of having to go through the formal part of the audition and then the interview, whatever else you need to do. Obviously, you build the relationships and actual friendships, because if you're trying to build a relationship and then you're trying to like get something out of them, people are gonna sniff that right off the bat. They're gonna see you as shady. Like, try to actually be a friend. And if you have zero interest in making friends, that's fine too. But don't be fucking shady about it. All right. So the last lesson is redefining success. I'd say sometimes the best blessings are the things that you don't get, and sometimes you get what you want, and you have to figure out what the hell you got to do after. Example is family business, a dance company that I started back in 2004. No one knew the fuck we were. When I started this, I had the vision of like seeing us on stage, winning a championship, and that was something that I wanted to work towards. And I thought that would be a 3-year thing, and then I thought it might be a 5-year thing. Come 2012, when my son was born, I stepped away from dancing, and I was worried that I never would see that thing that I want come to be. And honestly, I was pretty sad and maybe like depressed about it, because I would still try to visit the rehearsals, but not be sad that I couldn't dance. come to the 2016-2017 season, the schedule so happened to work out. My son was old enough to be comfortable being alone with both his grandmas, and it was like the last dance for me. I'm just gonna do it 1 year, that's it. And then that year, I got to experience things that I didn't when we first started. We placed third at a handful of competitions, which I had never experienced at all. We were usually like at fourth place by like 0.3 points, or by Prelude Las Vegas. That was our first championship ever, at least for me, my experience with it. And then that was it for me. I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna leave on the high. I got to experience being placed at a handful of times, and I actually got to experience what I had been wanting since this whole thing started. And I was satisfied with that moment, and I was okay with walking away. And then I had to shift. Come 2019, and I started a project that eventually became Temper Tantrum, and that became the new thing. The main thing that I want to do this in terms of like dance success is not so much like getting to do these other shows or being a backup dancer or working with a music video artist or with doing music videos or choreographing for an artist. That's not really so much my dream. I've always viewed success as something that's done together as a team, and which is why with Temper Tantrum I didn't want it to just be. It's not so much the success that I get as an individual; it's a success that we can do as a company. But going into it, I didn't want a glorified hobby of just like, oh, we're gonna do this on the weekends and then put all this time, like we're put 3 months of work for a 1-minute show. No, I wanted this to be a means of professional work, where sometimes the turnarounds are 2 rehearsals and you perform, or we go to crowd engagements, or we have 3 rehearsals to get ready for a music video. Faster turnarounds, doing some professional work, but also doing things for ourselves, performing at industry events, performing at community events, doing our own projects. There's these different branches that I wanted us to do, but ultimately I wanted it to be a professional company where we get paid. It's like a regular job, because while we get paid gigs here and there, it's per gig. But the problem with that is that not everyone gets booked, because we have a handful of gigs happening in October. We have 1 person booked for October 11th. We have 3 people booked for October 18th. We have maybe 12 people booked for October 22nd. And it's sporadic, and then also the budgets are very differently. I'd like to be able to be at a place where we get paid hourly for rehearsal, get paid per gig, and maybe eventually be one of the places that have it be paid done via salary. And I think that would be awesome. As far as I know, I don't know of any dance jobs that are salary per se, unless you're like maybe theater. That's a possible, like maybe more classical styles such as ballet, jazz. But that's not my space. Everyone in that space, feel free to correct me. Feel free to add some perspective on that, because zero experience on that. I have done hip hop dance theater. We did get paid per gig. We also got stipends. We also got paid hourly for rehearsals. But that's something I'd like to work. I'm working towards, and I think that would be one of the biggest things I'd love to see succeed. Which is essentially be a place where dancers get paid dance work to not just be a dancer, but also to create. That's it. That's the lessons of me as a dancer at the age of 38. Hopefully you got some nuggets. Comment down below if you have a favorite lesson, or if you guys have lessons of your own that you want to share. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take care. Peace.